What is the quality of your life? What is the quality of a society's being? What is the quality of a country's being? What is the source of the goodness of an individual, society, a nation? It is the quality of a person on an individual basis, which determines the majority of people within a society and the quality of the society. And when the mindset of the quality of society is one with the country in terms of the population in the majority, which means that at least 60 to 70% of the country has a quality being, a disciplined lifestyle, a sense of purpose, it makes the individual, society, and the country as a whole a quality society, a quality individual, a quality nation, one with the source code of life. What exactly is a quality of an individual? The quality of an individual is very plain and simple. We have discussed it before. It is being one with the source code of life. And that source code of life, which we respect in our own oxygen that we breathe, is the basics of our gratitude to the goodness of life that the universe has given every individual on earth. It's only the capacity of the individual to recognize that the oxygen which they breathe is a gift, which makes all the difference in being their life successful, in helping the life move into greater abundance, one with the source code of life. Now, when I'm saying people are going to be successful, it must also mean that they will have problems in their lives. If you're going to be with the source code of life, with the oxygen, there are energies which works against our very oxygen that we breathe, which is a kind of energy and individuals which are completely out of sense. Basically, we know that we survive on oxygen. We know all of our cells survive on oxygen. Every part of our being is a part of oxygen. The self, the human body, is 96% of its brain as water. The rest is matter, as we discussed before, and nearly 65% of the human body is water and the rest is matter. So, once we respect the basic systems of life, we have the energy. It is very plain and simple. But the foolishness of mindset has permeated our society, humans, and by which we allow our instincts to work against the own oxygen on the life system that we breathe. So, the quality of a society is to be disciplined. Discipline is the first major aspect of a quality of an individual. What does discipline achieve? Discipline helps you recognize that you first work on a purpose with the source code of your own goodness, of the oxygen, of all the life systems. And the discipline to have a gratitude in your prayers, maybe early in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. That's a small stepping stone to start a life of discipline and get in synergy with the knowledge of the universe, with the energy of the universe, with the energy of the life systems on earth, the energy of your own being, which is the truth of the universe. Once you negate your own being without understanding it's the oxygen which is all around, which is powering you, and then we start to move with our carnal desires alone, and in some sense we start to work against our own oxygen. We start to work against our own life systems, the quality of air, the water, the rains, the seasons. But once we are in synergy with the natural rhythms of the earth, we are moving into a quality life. So the first and foremost principle of an individual to be in the quality life form is to respect their own being, within the energies of the universe which sustain life. And once we achieve that, we will start to move into a greater respect for life and achieve greater discipline in our way of life. Now, when I say that you have discipline in your life, it means that you have a clear purpose within your life. And as we mentioned before, Life is all about balance. You might go off balance sometimes. At different personalities, people go off balance, but it's your clear direction, the barometer within your mind, that you have a purpose with the life that you've lived, which makes your life disciplined. And when that clear purpose moves from individual to society with a greater purpose for working for the future generations, and from the society when it moves into a country's thought patterns, where the majority of individuals are working towards a purpose, towards the source code of goodness of their own oxygen that they breathe, and they're working for the future generations, then that country becomes a country of quality. You see, the best of countries in the world, the most advanced countries of the world, they have their natural rhythms of life. They have the gardens, they have the forests, they have the natural ecosystems maintained in the best of ways, so that the future children will be blessed. Let's replenish our earth. Just imagine yourself being in the best of situation in your life, the best of dreams in terms of happiness. No matter what kind of wealth comes into your life, it will be certain emotions associated with yourself which brings you happiness within your soul, mind and being, and the entire body kind of rejoices. So there might be certain kind of lifestyle, certain kind of events which have happened in your life which made you completely joyful. Now you should identify it in its primal sense. What I mean by primal sense is not associating wealth along with your enjoyment, or trying to associate anything else with what you really felt within yourself. Think of any kind of situation in your life where you felt the best in your life. And also think about situations where you felt the worst in your life, So what this means is that we understand ourselves in terms of our core personality, in terms of our core subconscious. If what made you feel the best, irrespective of any kind of wealth associated with it, the emotions associated with it, is a kind of the core subconscious of your personality associated with goodness and happiness. And anything which brought you immense sadness is also a core personality thought pattern which is associated with your personality, with our personality. So once we identify these core emotions, we will be able to balance it out in life, because life is all about balance. Just imagine you had a friend who laughed so much, or he or she went into high states of emotions, of happiness, of goodness, and it was in full display in their personality. Usually when the emotions are very high in terms of being ecstatic, it also means that they can go the other way around also very fast. They can get into deep depression and also deep anger, guilt, and all these emotions. Now, on the other hand, if you're allowing your emotions of happiness to be, in a sense, controlled by your subconscious, the core of your subconscious, not to go above certain levels, you might display that happiness, but you know that everything about emotion is about a balance in life. It does not mean that you do not display good happiness. Or it does not mean that you did not display grief or sadness or anger. But it will all be done with a core sense of purpose, a core sense of control within yourself. You're not going to control anyone else in life. You must understand the basic mantra. The greatest secret of one's life is to control the goodness of oneself, to control your soul by yourself, to be one with the source code of life. The moment you try to control others, you lose everything in life. You should understand very clearly. You lose the meaning in life. You lose the purpose in life. You will lose every kind of emotions associated with the goodness of the very oxygen that you breathe. The oxygen that you breathe is not controlling you. It's not telling you that if you do not do this, then I will not give you oxygen. Although we may do things to spoil our own oxygen or the life system within us, it is giving you life. And the oxygen understands that it is the essence of your soul, it's the essence of your being, it's the essence of every cell in your body. So I think one of the most foolish things as humans, what we try to do is try to control other people's life without knowing that we are not able to control ourselves from deep within ourselves. You must understand that everything about our life is about being rectified within, and then the outside emotions, the people going to be associated with you will be dependent on what is within your deep subconscious, what you're built within yourself. Do not blame anyone else for your circumstance today, because that is what you built deep within. Let's replenish our earth with a deep sense of understanding of ourselves. The core subconscious must guide us. We should get into thought patterns which will be one with the source code of life. Let's replenish our earth. What is the end game of everything that we do in life? At the end of the day, we might have a lot of riches or we might have nothing much. But at the end game, what is the result? If you're playing any kind of a game, which can also be the game of life, what will be the end result that we are looking for? It should be very much in clear. Everything against you will be conspired, because at the end of the day, we have lost our human selves and moved with the spirit of any other living species on life. Being a human, which is the complete insult to us being human. So, it is absolutely clear, if you're running behind money and wealth and if you're putting it as a prime goal, the more and more energy you put into it, the deeper and deeper we go into pits, and sometimes, and in most cases, it's an irrecoverable pit. It will be so deep that no one can help. So the only solution as the end game of life is to have a meaning towards the future. So when the last day is covered, when the body has moved into the earth and the soul is set free into the universe along with the source code of life, then our lives on earth lived for the temporary lifespan will have meaning if we have served the future generations in terms of our ideas, in terms of our work, in terms of our contribution. Let's replenish our earth. If you watch a salmon fish in the Arctic regions, also in areas like the Alaskan region, there's salmon fish which is preconditioned and by instinct to live a life of a salmon fish, which means that by instinct it is kind of programmed to be a kind of food for the bears of the Alaskan regions, which can include polar bears and other bears. If you watch the Alaskan region, you will find the bears standing at the river's intersections, where the salmon fish tries to go by its instinct to the place of its birth. The salmon fish usually travels many kilometers during its lifespan, and then by instinct towards the last days of its life, it has an instinct to climb back into deeper heights. Usually a fish goes downstream, but the salmon fish has an instinct to climb upstream and go back to its place of birth, and it follows that instinctive life. And during that instinctive life, when it tries to climb upstream, it jumps from the river to get into the next mountain stream, just like a step. And during the time, the bears place themselves and They have their food stored up for the winter, for the hibernation period. We must understand that, like the salmon fish, we as humans, we are not conditioned to go towards our end goal by nature. We have the source code of life in terms of our creativity. And that's the reason that we are humans. And the reason that we can flourish and prosper will only be through our sense of creativity. In terms of ideas, in terms of our work, in terms of everything that we do on earth, let the spirit of creativity flourish along with the sensual energy of creation. Let's replenish our earth. The migrations of certain species of birds can travel tens and thousands of kilometers. And this kind of information was pre-programmed into the bird's mind through evolution. There are thousands of birds which glide on the wind and then move from one continent of the earth to the other, flying across seas without stop, and tens and thousands of kilometers with small little breaks. And all of these birds have not decided that they wanted to go from one continent to the other. It came by instinct within their subconscious. The small bird's brain and the subconscious drove the birds to fly continents, migrate, and then procreate, find sources of food. And the birds have the most beautiful time, flying thousands of kilometers as a group, gliding across the winds, watching humans, maybe it is to a large extent, from the top, from an aerial view. Although the bird has the thinking of a bird, it essentially fulfills its life's goal and mission and being one with the source code of life in a pre-programmed manner. There can be exceptions of the same bird species, but in general the birds follow the order of nature and that instinct. Let us cultivate the instinct to be with the source code of life, which provides life to every species of life on earth and every life system around us. Let's replenish our earth. The migrations of certain species of birds can travel tens and thousands of kilometers. And this kind of information was pre-programmed into the bird's mind through evolution. There are thousands of birds which glide on the wind and then move from one continent of the earth to the other, flying across seas without stop, and tens and thousands of kilometers with small little breaks. And all of these birds have not decided that they wanted to go from one continent to the other. It came by instinct within their subconscious. The small bird's brain and the subconscious drove the birds to fly continents, migrate, and then procreate, find sources of food. And the birds have the most beautiful time, flying thousands of kilometers as a group, gliding across the winds, watching humans, maybe it is to a large extent, from the top, from an aerial view. Although the bird has the thinking of a bird, it essentially fulfills its life's goal and mission and being one with the source code of life in a pre-programmed manner. There can be exceptions of the same bird species, but in general the birds follow the order of nature and that instinct. Let us cultivate the instinct to be with the source code of life, which provides life to every species of life on earth and every life system around us. Let's replenish our earth. When you see a piece of granite in nature, when you take a drive and see some of the mountains and the granite within those mountains, we must understand that granite was kind of formed during the initial phases of the earth or through volcanic eruptions maybe 1,000,000 years ago. And that granite stone within your houses, which looks magnificent as well as being one of the strongest construction materials we can find in terms of nature, has an history of millions of years. It is not man-made as such. Man has taken the granite and through his work has carved it out and was sold and came into houses, buildings, corporate houses. And when that granite stone rests within your house, within your office, within your corporate structure, remember that it's a part of the earth which has survived millions of years. And that essence of the earth is within your house. The essence of the earth, when the granite was born, was the first instance when our earth started to move its life forms to help humans survive by producing oxygen, by giving us water, which was the basics of our life. And then millions of generations of people, of hereditary ancestors have evolved from the time of the cavemen to the time when they discovered tools, from the time they discovered how to build houses for themselves, from the time they discovered how they could get the best of food sources, till the time today when we have evolved with technology. And that same granite stone within our house, within our corporate buildings, would stay for us for the next thousands of years. It will be still a part of nature. And with that granite stone in our houses, in our corporate buildings, in our offices, we must take a resolution that we are with the energies of the earth which sustain life. Thereby our discoveries, all of our efforts in terms of information technology, in terms of new discoveries, in terms of biotechnology, in terms of construction, infrastructure, in terms of all kinds of sciences, will develop along with the source code of life which keeps all beings on earth alive, the source code of why we live. Once we develop our technologies, seeing the granite stone as an example of time which has passed through millions of years, we will take a resolute action that we will do things in the present for the future generations. And in doing so, we are blessed today and have a meaning in the yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Let's replenish our earth. We must understand that everything about our lives is about how our minds are conditioned. If we are conditioning our mind in the wrong way, we will attract all the wrong things in life. If the code of our subconscious have thoughts which are completely negative and which might be just for our carnal instincts alone, just like any other species of life, then as a human our lives are in complete turmoil and we are off the track of being with the source code of life. But on the other hand, if our minds are conditioned to be with the source code of goodness of our earth and all of the life systems, then we are in the right track to attract the blessings which evolves in our lives. The conditioning of our minds is also called the right attitude. Our attitude comes from what the deep beliefs within our minds. And if we condition our minds, and if it comes through instinct and also during the early stages of a child's life and also into adulthood, and also by strong determination as an adult, to move along with the source code of life which sustains all life on earth, and in working for the future generation, we kind of have the right attitude, because Our minds are conditioned to be along with the source code of life. You like it or not, you can either be conditioned in your mind to go into deep pits. We can go into deep pits by conditioning our mind as such. We believe in stories. We create stories for ourselves. And then behind that completely foolish story in terms of our beliefs about life and doing things for ourselves, we get into the fastest way into the deepest depressions of life, because we are running behind money, wealth, and everything else only from a point of view of ourselves. But the greater conditioning of the mind, and the easiest, smartest, and most effective way, is to have the right thoughts deep within our subconscious, along with the source code of life which sustains every life on earth. And conditioning our minds as such will move us into a kind of abundance which the universe is. As we understood, the universe is all about abundance. In the same way, when we talk about conditioning the minds of future generations, it does not mean that we are in any kind of hypnotherapy or such, by which we are conditioning our minds to think in a certain way. It is the smartest, wisest, and the most important things that we do for our earth is to move with the energies of life of our earth, is to move with the energies of the very oxygen that we breathe. So when we are talking about conditioning our minds and respecting the very oxygen that we breathe, it is not in the sense conditioning our mind. We are moving with the truth of life. Let's replenish our earth. Having the right thoughts deep within our subconscious, and having the right attitude, because we have the right kind of thoughts guiding our life. This in turn creates a vibration, and we are conditioning that vibration to move with the abundance of life of our earth, with the source code of abundance in terms of our life on earth. Once we move with the right vibrations along with the right attitude, because we have the right thoughts deep within our subconscious to move with the goodness of the earth, to move with the life systems of the earth and our own oxygen, we create a vibration, and our vibration gels with the vibration of the universe, of the source code of goodness, of the source code of life. The vibration of creation which created life, which provides this oxygen, will be our source of guidance. The earth, which is a gift from the God of all of our faiths, will move with us because we are vibrating in the right frequency in terms of a gratitude for the goodness of life that we have, in terms of the basic systems of life, which includes the oxygen, water, and every life form. Let's replenish our earth. In life, we meet different kinds of people, different kinds of experiences. People vary within their personalities. They have different kinds of thinking, and the energies they emit towards you and the energies which you emit back will be according to the deep thought patterns within individuals, which makes a personality. Some people do not have any kind of real personality because they're completely confused deep within the subconscious, and also they have certain basic thought patterns which are completely against the very oxygen that they breathe, which means that they have certain thought patterns which is against the very life they breathe themselves. Or so we need to be very conscious about the way we treat people and how we cultivate relationships. But at the end of the day, we must understand that the people that you meet in life, the experiences that you get in life, to a very large extent is according to the vibration deep within your subconscious. The thought patterns deep within your subconscious create that vibrations, and in turn those vibrations attract people which sync with the vibration deep within your subconscious. Which means that, to put it in plain example, we have talked about a computer. If you have a program deep within your computer and you have a central processing unit which vibrates with the software takes in information and then processes it out according to the basic instruction within that software. So the basic instruction within your subconscious brain is that thought pattern which you have built right from childhood. It might be any kind of nonsense. It might be the most foolish idea. It might be something which can be despised, those thought patterns. Or it can be something which is of wisdom. It can be any kind of information which is along with the source code of life. And then as we grow up and we move towards adulthood, then those thought patterns are your attitude towards life. It's our attitude towards life. People blame a lot of people for the wrong attitude, but attitude is exactly the deep subconscious vibration, the thought pattern. So as we mentioned before, you can be in the best place on earth. You can have everything that you have. Or you can be put in the greatest of places on earth. At the end of the day, it is your attitude and the thought patterns which matters. And if the attitude is with an instinct of going back to the place from where you came from, in terms of thinking, that is where we will go. But if our attitude is to move with the source code of life, which is the basic reason that we live, which is the truth of life, and that is where we will go. Let us work in today for the future. In doing so, we have the right kind of attitude, along with the source code of life, along with the source code of goodness of all of the energies of our earth. Let's replenish our earth. We must understand that every living being on earth, from the minutest of cells, creatures, living organisms, animals, plants, trees, anything which has life is a storage of information. Now let's take a small example of an apple that you eat, or the orange fruit that we eat. When an apple is consumed, it has all the properties and the goodness and the vitamins and the minerals and the essence of an apple. When an orange is consumed, it has the taste, it has all the vitamins, it has all of the properties of an orange. It can be any kind of fruit or vegetable or any other species of life. And also as humans. Now an apple is an apple because of the seed which contained the information, which contained the gene, which contains the knowledge in terms of a human understanding within the seed, within the chromosome of the first seed of an apple plant, to germinate apples, to make it an apple tree with all of the properties of an apple tree. It will be the same with an orange tree, or it would be the same with any kind of vegetable. Each of those seeds, each of the initial saplings had that information to make that tree an apple tree, an orange tree, or any other tree on earth. Or it can be any kind of shrubs. It can also be the cactus which you see in the desert. It has the information stored for that environment of a desert. Now every living being on earth is also programmed in such a way within the initial first cell. The first cell within the species of the female giving birth in any kind of life form on earth is that information which moves into the first cell and makes it into the creature or living organism that we see, which includes the horses, the tigers, the lion, the greatest of shark, the greatest of whales, the greatest of animals on earth, the most beautiful trees on earth, the most flowering trees on earth, the flower that you see when you take it within your hands. It is that genetic code of information stored within the first initial cell or the seed which has made that plant. So essentially all of life is about a storage of information within the first cell. And humans within the first cell has the storage of information to make us humans. And the only difference of us humans being the supreme species of life within the earth that we live is our connection to the universal source code of God, or the source code of every living being on earth, breathing life. Let's connect to that source code through creativity. Creativity is the only source code of life which makes us humans. Let's replenish our earth. What do we term as education? What is the education we give our children? What is the system of education that we have now? When a child is born into the earth, in the normal system of life, within any kind of normal families within our earth, and especially in different demographics and geographies across the earth, when a child is born and when the child is being educated, the first level of education of a child is not when it sees life. It is not when it sees the light of the day, or when it breathes its first breath outside a mother's womb. The education of a child is right from the stage of the first cell of a child. There are certain thought patterns within the cells of every human in terms of reproduction, and those thought patterns are within the first cell. It's a matter of instinct. It is certain skills which is transferred from generations to generations, certain information which has been transferred to thousands of generations. But the human cell is very unique. The human first cell is very unique. Although it's programmed just like any other species of life, just like the flowers, just like the animals, just like any other species of life, which includes the dolphins, the fishes, the human first cell has its uniqueness. The human cell has the ability of creativity, the first cell. And when that cell evolves and becomes a child within a womb, it takes in the experiences of the mother and the environment which the mother lives in. Even that is the first stage of education. The first cell born, the first cell when it is fertilized and turns into life. The education of a child begins at that stage. That we must understand as humans. The environment which the mother is in, the way the mother reacts to people around, how people react to the mother over a period of 9 months, gets in some way or form into the deep psychology of that first cell, moving into the next 9 months. And when the child is born, usually after 9 months in humans, it is not like any other animal on earth. It is not just like any other plant species on earth. It is not just like any other fish on earth. It is the child of a human. And a child of a human has that ability of creativity which makes us only, in the right sense, in the right meaning, a human. Once we understand that and give our education to our children from the first day of birth, from the first cell, in terms of what we do, in terms of creativity, along with the source code of life, that will be the education to prosperity, along with the source code of goodness of everything that we see around us, the oxygen that we breathe. And the education system of every child should be to be along with the source code of life, working for the future generations, which in turn blesses the present generation in what they do. Now every child has certain skills built within. It is up to the parents to help the child identify such skills. And even if the parents are giving the directions to children to be educated, the education is not for self-fulfillment. It's not about the carnal instincts of us being humans. The carnal instinct of a human is along with all other species of life. You must understand. To eat, survive, procreate. But the instinct of humans is to be a human with the source code of creativity. So when a child is educated right from the basic level of education to move along with the creative energy, to get into ideas, plans, works in terms of the motivation towards becoming what they want in life, along with the guidance of the parents, that will be the greatest education system. Through those levels of channeling a child's intellect, they can be the best of educationalists in the world, the doctors, the engineers, the surgeons, or be it any field of work, even the best of gardeners, the best of landscape artists, the best of cleanliness managers, or people working within the cleanliness system of the earth. We must understand keeping the earth clean is the basic essence of why hereditary generations survive and evolve. It's the basics of life. Recycling is the basics of every living species on earth. Every living species is born and becomes dust, and another generation is born. And as humans, we evolve through creativity with the source code of life. That is the only distinguishing factor. Once we understand this basic essence of life, we are moving with the source code of goodness of us being humans on earth, working for the future generations. And in turn, the future generation is blessing us by remembering us, because we have provided them a better kind of life system into the future, a better quality of oxygen, water, and every kind of idea that we have generated into companies or any kind of field that we are working in. We have helped the future generations, and in doing so, we in turn are being blessed as of now. It's a win-win situation. Let's replenish our earth.
We have spoken about all the goodness that can come from following the source code of life. We've talked about the years ahead, which can be 100 years or 1,000 years or more, and the developments which can be contributed by the overall general intelligence, the advanced general intelligence, which works along with our human mind, the deepest of learning, the deepest of chips, the quantum computers, the biological systems of evolution of nanosciences, which needs very much less power than any of the supercomputers and gigacomputers and the data processing centers, which is another term for cloud computing. We understand that technologies into the future will reflect the biosystems in all humans, by which millions of cells work in unison for the function of the body. The same will be the evolution of technologies which uses the least of power. As we understand, as of today, we need enormous amounts of power, to the extent that nations take in islands of nuclear power generation to process the data in terms of deep learning, advanced learning, and those systems which will advance in the process of computation as we know today. But with the advanced general intelligence and deeper learning, we will be able to move into the human forms of technology, of biotechnology, which will also help science in all forms, be it physics, be it chemistry, be it astronomy, be it the greatest of advanced physics, flight, computation will be along with the body's reflection of functioning. The functioning of each cell within every human body is itself one of the greatest science, and technologies in the future will advance to such nanotechnologies, helping us evolve the greatest of machines, nano machines, which will function just like cells but will have the greatest of advanced functions. Now, we've said that all of this is possible only if we move our thinking, our thought, our deepest thought patterns along with the source code of life, of our world, of our universe, of all the life systems within us. If we move our advanced levels of understanding, evolution of science, along with the source code of life, that will be the only difference. We must also understand that if there is any diversion of our mindset to go along with the wrong negative energies, the energies which works against our very oxygen that we breathe and the water that we drink and every life system must be respected. If we're going against the very basics of life, in our thought patterns, in any kind of advanced systems of learning, there will not be any future. That must be very clearly understood. There is no future for any of our smallest children in the world now. The future unborn children. There is no future if we are going to manipulate technologies for only our human desires of self of today. As we understood that the word sustainability is no longer a word which needs to be used in the most important form of human existence. It is not sustainability in the true sense. It is the form of human evolution. It is the form of the planets. It is the form of how the earth survives. We are not doing anything in terms of sustainability as an offering to the earth. It is a matter of a life or no life. If we are going to sustain the earth, or if we are going to respect the natural systems of life of the earth, the God-given gift of all of our faiths, our earth to flourish, prosper, evolve, and get into the blessings of health, wealth, and spiritual abundance, our only way is to move with the source code of life. It is not a choice for us. It is not an option. It is not something that we are doing as a service. It is the only efficient way of living a life on earth in the best possible way in terms of our thinking as humans, which is along with creativity to protect the very living system of the earth, to help us today and into the future. And only by doing so will we have a future for ourselves as a human species. Our technologies, be it into biotechnology, the basics of life sciences, the basic technologies which help us in our daily lives, and the evolution of the greatest realms of technologies, which includes technologies in the atomic energy field, weapons field, must only be along with the source code of life and for the protection of all living species on earth. And as we've understood, only by doing so will we get into the abundance of life, the source code of goodness which keeps us alive today. Let's replenish our earth.